Hello and welcome to the big picture. On this historic day which has seen several records being broken and most importantly, India returning to a single party rule after 30 years, there is euphoria in the country as well as a lot of worried people. The many questions and doubts raised during the last several months in the run-up to the elections have been answered and answered quite unambiguously. One of the most important one was whether there was a Modi wave in the country, and that has been answered quite resoundingly. The debacle of the Congress, unprecedented in its history, the miserable performance of the left parties and many other significant outcomes have all been the hallmark of these elections. Now that the BJP under Narendra Modi has won a decisive victory, what lies ahead? With huge burden of expectations on the shoulder of the man seen as an outsider to Delhi, how will he be able to carry the burden and what will be his immediate challenges? We will discuss all this in the next 1 hour. To discuss this, I have with me T.S.R. Subramanian, former Cabinet Secretary, A. Surya Prakash, Senior Journalist and Columnist, Paranjay Guha Thakurta, Senior Journalist and Author, K. Sachidananda Murthy, Resident Editor of The Week, Professor Vivek Kumar, Political Analyst and Professor at the JNU, and Vandita Mishra, Opinion Editor of the Indian Express. Welcome to all of you. Mr. Subramaniam, I will give you the first opportunity. What's the big message of these elections?
But for me, the best message is that...
big message, not the best.
We have, in 67 years after independence, should be rivaling China and USA as the #1 country in the world. We should not have 70% poverty. We should have minimum standards of education and health.
No, but what is the
message is,
yes,
we have lost opportunities. For me, the message is, the people now want change. They want these things. They do not want any more sops, etc. They want real change, and that's the message for me.
Paranjay, would you agree with that? Or what is the biggest message according to you?
The big message is the huge tsunami, the wave in favor of Mr. Narendra Modi.
Right.
What does that signify? It means that the anger, the outrage of ordinary people against the UPA government in particular, UPA government and the Congress in particular,
right,
has been truly unprecedented. I mean, the kind of decimation the Congress has seen has been truly unprecedented. I don't think we've seen a party suffer so badly, not even in 1977.
Absolutely.
After the emergency, leave alone 1989 or 1996, has the Congress seen this kind of a humiliating defeat. That's one point. The second point is, wherever both the Congress and the BJP, the two largest political parties in the country, were relatively weak, we've seen the regional leaders doing exceedingly well. Ms. Jayalalitha in Tamil Nadu, Ms. Mamata Banerjee's party in West Bengal, Mr. Naveen Patnaik in Orissa. I think the other point that is very, very significant is we've seen a very sharp movement to the right. In terms of political, economic and social ideology, we've seen a sharp movement to the right, the likes of which I think we have never seen before, certainly not in 1991 or even in 1998.
I think that's a very important point, the sharp move to the right. Surya Prakash?
Yeah.
What is the big message?
Big message is last 25 years, you are having all these tuta-puta governments, these coalitions which have brought about a lot of instability. I think Indians across the country are terribly disturbed by this instability, and this is one of the things which they want to correct. That is why they not only elected Modi but gave him a clear majority. The other thing is, last 2-3 years, people felt that the Congress just took them for granted, and they wanted to fix that. This is the other thing.
Okay, Sachi?
No, the thing is, the last 1 year, Modi has convinced people that he can change this country.
Right.
He has sold this message to the majority. Majority of the voters have bought this message, irrespective of the caste, their economic, age group, and all that. So I think he has conveyed that message that give me power, I will give you prosperity, everything I will give you. So he has sold a dream. I mean, he didn't use Obama's this thing of a dream, but he has sold a big dream to the people, and he's the best. And as L.K. Advani noted, he's the best event manager, and this is the greatest event on earth he has organized.
Best event manager. Vandita, would you also see it that way? Would you agree with Advani that he?
उसको भेज दिया ना अभी सिटी में चेंज
Vandita, can you hear me? I think Vandita is still getting wired. I'll get back to her. Mr. Subramaniam, do you see it as how Sachi sees it, how Advani sees it, as the best event manager who has been able to sell the biggest event ever?
Well, I normally don't comment on political matters, but I think the country has given a very clear mandate to Modi. It has been a presidential form of election. Whatever the other form of government we may have, clearly others have to recognize the facts of life.
Presidential form of election.
In a sense that he was projected there.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you think that was the right thing to happen, that
I think
the elections
it was the right thing to have, because in the last 10 years the country did not know where the leader was, who the leader was. He was not heard.
So it was desperately looking for a leader.
It was looking for decisiveness. It was looking for a clear direction, all of which is really needed, what they were looking for. They really needed in the country, and therefore he provided that. And I think others have
the dream.
The country is much, much bigger than an Advani or a Sushma or A or B. We have to understand the facts of life now. This country of 1.2 billion people wants to move forward. People don't matter. The country people
don't matter. It's very interesting what Mr. Subramaniam normally doesn't want to comment on political issues, but with the mention of Advani and Sushma, he has a message there, I'm sure. Paranjoy, one of the key questions which we kept asking throughout the campaign was, will there be a Modi wave, or is there a Modi wave, and can a wave sweep aside all equations of caste? You think that has been decisively answered?
I think to some extent this is correct. It's not just caste, even identity politics as a whole, including religion.
When I call caste,
and the kind of support that the Bharatiya Janata Party has got in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, I don't think the party could have got that kind of support if the entire Muslim community in these two states would have voted tactically against the strongest candidate against the BJP.
Right.
So clearly we are seeing a weakening of identity politics. It's happening in a way that I never anticipated. I don't know what the consequences will be in the future, but the point is, definitely this marks an important watershed. I want to make one other point. If you look at the last 6 general elections before the last 5 general elections before this one, 1996, 1998, 2004 and 2009. In these elections, and 1999 of course, these 5 general elections, the 2 largest political parties in the country together, without the alliance partners, got half the vote, roughly half the vote. I don't have the exact vote shares, but I think we are seeing a departure of this trend. Whether, as Surya Prakash was suggesting, this marks an end of the era of coalition politics, which became pronounced from 1996, which began even earlier in 1989
also.
Whether it's an end, I am not so sure about that, because 5 years down the line, we could be singing a different tune altogether.
Absolutely.
I mean, remember Rajiv Gandhi?
Right.
In 1984, Rajiv Gandhi, India's youngest ever Prime Minister at 40, riding this amazing wave after his mother was assassinated by her own bodyguards, got over 400 seats in the Lok Sabha. What happened to him 5 years down the line? I mean,
just one thing, Girish.
Let us not jump the gun. Yes, but
what I want to say is, 10 years ago, nobody said that we would come back to one party rule. Everyone said we have entered the coalition era and that's it.
Why 10 years?
So,
even 6 months back.
Even 4-5 years ago, nobody saw a possibility of a one party rule again at the national level.
No, absolutely.
So, I mean, things can change.
Yeah.
This is, my assessment is that because of the way we have had central governments over the last 20 years and weakening the office of Prime Minister in many ways because of the problems there, I think people have opted for a one party kind of thing.
Okay. I think we have Vandita Mishra now with us. Vandita, can you hear me? Vandita?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Vandita, what
I can hear you.
Okay,
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, what is the big message which you see from this election? 1, 2, 3 big messages which have come out of this, of the results.
We should also be careful a little bit. I've been listening to the conversation about reading too much into the election. I think it is a very dramatic election. It is dramatic both in the nature of the victory that it has handed to the victor and the nature of the defeat that it has handed to the party that has lost out.
Right.
Yet, I would still say that this was a wave election, and it's possible that its consequences and after effects may not last for future elections. It could be just this election that we are talking about.
Right.
Having said that, there was conversation on the role of caste, for instance. So obituaries are being written on caste and identity politics.
Right.
I would say that yes, there is a larger trend, and that was visible even in the elections, assembly elections in UP, the last assembly election, and also the last assembly election in Bihar, where both Nitish Kumar and Akhilesh Yadav got a mandate that was drawn from across all sections.
Absolutely.
Yet, having said that, there is danger in reading the BJP's victory as one that transcends caste. In fact, it is brought about also by a very clever play of caste politics.
Right.
You know, there was the Kushwaha party that they got into the fold in Bihar.
Right.
And in UP, for instance, in Western UP, the BJP was the only party that put up Jat candidates.
Right.
You know, it's a Jat belt,
Right.
and the other parties didn't do that.
Right.
So it also played caste politics very cleverly.
Okay. Sachi?
Identity politics get obliterated.
No, the original question was, has wave swept aside the caste and
That's right.
identity politics?
It has done not just now, but we have seen it in the 77, 80 and 84, 3 consecutive elections. For different reasons it happened.
Right.
And then after the 84 elections, the identity politics became very acute because of the Mandal decision by VP Singh government, the way Devilal and VP Singh formed the Ajgar formation.
Right.
So they played that, then that split into this thing. Now all of them have failed in this election because they were not seen as a national alternative.
Right.
And also the wide reach of communication, media and all that. Now people are asking who will rule in Delhi. So it became presidential in that form. So that's why otherwise Bahujan Samaj Party, which should have benefited from the anti-incumbency vote against Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister, did not get a single seat.
But you know, so they have pretty impressive vote percentage in Uttar Pradesh. Surya Prakash,
Yeah.
The question of this whole elections having turned presidential, you think that was the key factor as far as the BJP getting this kind of huge single decisive majority, and also Modi getting this kind of support.
Yeah, that is true, and also I could see parallels between, say, the 2008 Obama campaign and Modi, 430 or 436 rallies which he did, 6 months, fantastic campaigning and so fine-tuned and all that. Now the other thing I want to say in regard to identity politics is that whatever I am saying is based on my own conversations with people in 4 states that I traveled during this election, and I must tell you that in several places I met people who said they were drawing a distinction between state elections and national elections, and they said this is a national election, so we are going to rise above our local identity or caste, and we are going to vote. I met many people who said that, and the results today actually prove that a lot of people have done that.
Okay. You were talking of Obama and audacity. In fact, this was quite an audacious way in which Modi projected himself first, very, very clearly after the 2012 Gujarat elections. There he, very carefully, in a very orchestrated, coordinated manner, he displayed this audacity to claim that Prime Minister's seat, but he had lot of problems within his own party before he could come there. So you think that this kind of an audacious move, we have not seen this happening in this country before.
I'm not sure you should call it audacious. You can describe it differently. Bold leadership. You can use different terminology.
Yes.
But the situation was crying for it. There was a vacuum of leadership in the country, at least overt, clear direction. And don't forget, in the regional parties we were talking about, nearly every one of them displays that quality. You see Bengal, you see Tamil Nadu, you see Odisha. All these places, they win the leadership, but the Indian psyche demands, they want the demonstration of a leader. They want to, so in other words, he understood the Indian psyche well, and then responded extremely well in a manner that, and the Congress party really shot themselves into the foot repeatedly. They gave him ammunition every month.
Man, this thing is audacity of hope.
Audacity of hope.
Today when you heard Modi speak both in Vadodara and Ahmedabad, he's talked about the vacuum in Delhi. I have come to fill this vacuum, and he said, I realized that there's a vacuum 4 years ago, 3 years ago. He kept repeating that. But also the audacity of hope, credit, I would give it to another person. That is, soon after the 2009 Lok Sabha results, when the BJP and NDA failed to make it under Mr. Advani's leadership, Mohan Bhagwat, the chief of RSS, decided that let me transform this party. Let me do things. So he did the trial and error. First, he said none of the 4 leaders from Delhi shall lead the party.
That's how Nitin Gadkari came.
That's how Nitin Gadkari came. Then Nitin Gadkari, they realized that Nitin Gadkari could not deliver an election to them. Then they zeroed in on Narendra Modi, with whom the Sangh had a lot of differences.
Exactly.
So, but then Mohan Bhagwat and his close advisors said that no, this is the only man who can deliver an election. So that is the audacity of hope of the RSS.
It is the audacity of hope of the RSS.
RSS. So which arm twisted the entire BJP till the day Mr. Narendra Modi was nominated as a Prime Minister.
Not just the campaign chief.
No, they arm twisted them.
Surya Prakash, would you agree with that?
With what?
With what Sachi is saying, that it was actually an RSS orchestrated campaign which brought Narendra Modi to the center stage and then catapulted him into the leadership.
I have no doubt about that. It was scripted by RSS. RSS wanted Modi to come in. Considering all things, they said this is the best bet. And I think September 13, 2013, the decision to anoint him as the Prime Ministerial candidate is absolutely brilliant. And from that time onwards, Modi just took off and Congress had no answers.
So actually, Paranjoy, would you call this the best orchestrated campaign we have seen in this country so far? Right from the time, as Sachi was talking, from the time Mohan Bhagwat and RSS decided that we need to do something about it, and the way they anointed him as campaign committee chief in Goa and then later as Prime Ministerial candidate, and then this massive propaganda campaign which they launched.
Sure, I don't disagree with that, the way of looking at it, the way you've analyzed it. Sure. I want to add 2 or 3 points that have been made. I think the big message that's coming through out of elections 2014 is also the personalization of politics.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's okay, we all say personalities matter. Of course they matter. But their policies, their programs, their ideologies are also supposed to matter. But in a sense, what you've seen when you talk about the American-style presidential election, and you're comparing that with the world's oldest democracy and the world's largest democracy, I think this is something that is unique. And mind you, this personalization of politics has also worked in the case of Ms. Jayalalitha, Mr. Naveen Patnaik and Ms. Mamata Banerjee. Now, I'll go
at the very limited state level.
One minute.
This was a huge national campaign.
And here let me take a slightly more nuanced view than what Surya Prakash has said. Yes, indeed, in large parts of the country, our average voter is getting smarter by the day. And she or he is learning to distinguish when you vote on local issues for your state assembly and when you're voting for a government in Delhi. You can say this is the way the voter in Uttar Pradesh, in Bihar, or even in Andhra Pradesh or Simandra, Telangana and Simandra both voted. But would you say the same thing in the case of the voter of Bengal and Tamil Nadu and Odisha? So all I'm saying is that, you know, Indian politics is indeed very, very complex and very, very nuanced, and we can't, you know, sort of take, you know, when we say, as Vandita rightly pointed out, and I completely agree with her, to say that there has been an apparent decline of the influence of identity politics does not mean that identity politics has gone off.
Maybe we are being premature if we jump to such conclusions.
And you could argue even that the sort of decline of the influence of religion and caste in Indian politics has been on the decline for some other time, for some time.
Vandita, there'll be a lot more analysis, of course, as we go on in the coming days and weeks. But as of today, when you look at this verdict, It is clearly a pro-BJP, pro-Modi verdict when it comes to the western part of the country and the northern part of the country. The eastern part of the country, right from the coast, from Bengal right down to Tamil Nadu, there doesn't seem to have, the wave doesn't seem to have worked as, at all virtually in West Bengal. West Bengal, of course, they've done well in terms of getting a lot of votes. 17% of votes they've got, but it has not been converted to seats. And you see the same, but in Odisha, Andhra, Tamil Nadu. Vandita?
No, I would say that BJP has done very well in this election. Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Hello? It has done very well in this election because it has not just got seats, which it has in large number, but it has made inroads into states where earlier it had to piggyback on allies.
Absolutely.
So it may not have won many seats, but then it's made its presence felt in West Bengal, in Assam,
yes,
even in Tamil Nadu, and there is something that it can build upon, and which can shore up its claim to finally becoming a pan-Indian party.
Right.
But I think the real challenge for the BJP now, at the riding the crest of such a huge mandate, is to actually talk to people who did not vote for it. And in that, I would particularly say that it has to find a way to talk to this country's largest minority.
Absolutely. I think you have made a very important, Mr. Subramanian, would you agree with that? Well, one second, to put this whole verdict in perspective, from what we have got from the Election Commission's website, the BJP's vote share across the country is 31.3%. It has got 280 and odd seats.
Highest ever.
Sorry?
Highest ever.
Yes. But still there are 69% who are not. So you think that the government, as Vandita was pointing out, talk to them. You think that is the important
I think
thing?
there are two separate factors we have to take into account. We have the first past the post system here.
Right.
And therefore, typically in UP, between 20 and 30% everybody gets, and the results get lopsided, the total numbers. So number one, to some extent, this is a reflection of that. If we had, let us say, a second runoff, these numbers may not have come the way that we have, number one. Number two, I don't think we can, after 350 seats, 340 seats, you can't call anyone a non-pan-India party. I mean,
nobody is calling it a non-pan-Indian party.
I'm only saying it is true they have not done as well there. Typically, Tamil Nadu and Bengal have not allowed any national parties to come in a large way. Particularly Tamil Nadu, and also in Kerala, for example, only two parties. So in every election there are strong areas, there are weak areas. America, west, north, east, they all keep changing, they all go in different ways. I think for me the answer is, number one, the people were sick of the ruling party, number one. Number two, leadership vacuum was there, number two. Number three, I think the younger people came into their own, and the message of development, absolutely, jobs, these came home.
So, Suryaprakash, the point made by Vandita, that now that this massive, decisive mandate is there with you, the question now is, and during, this was one campaign which was very divisive campaign. I'm sure you'd agree with it. There was a lot of, if there was a huge pro-Modi sentiment across the country, there was also a very significant anti-Modi sentiment. So now, do you think that it is now up to Modi and the BJP to make that move and see that the people who have not voted with them are taken along?
No doubt about that. Ours is, we are, I think, one of the most plural societies in the world, the biggest democracy, 814 million voters, and this, that, and the other, and very plural and very complex, diverse society. So therefore, anyone who is Prime Minister of India must take everyone along. The party which is ruling must take everyone along. I have quarrels with the Congress. It ran this country on 28% vote. 72% of Indians did not vote for the Congress.
Absolutely.
And I don't think the Congress ever bothered about those who don't vote for it. That's a different matter. But I don't want Modi to be like that. And secondly, I tell you, what is reassuring for me is Modi's statement today and in a couple of interviews earlier. Today he said, I have enough numbers to run the government. but I need more to run the country. I want to take everyone along, including those who have lost out in this election.
Okay.
So that is, political plurality is addressing same way in terms of religion and region and all those complexities. He must address, he must take everyone along. There cannot be any two opinions.
Sachi, you think that these words will be able to satisfy that large community, especially the minority community, seem to have had a problem with him, and they're openly talking of voting any candidate who would defeat the BJP and things like that. You think these words should be some balm on these people who have had a problem with him?
I don't know, because I think they will go by what happened in Uttar Pradesh in the run-up to the elections. And they have been told by leaders of various parties that this was done immediately after Amit Shah was inducted as the BJP in charge of Uttar Pradesh. This has been the campaign which has, so to win over the trust, it will take lot of efforts, and but also how will he use, what is the kind of policy initiative he takes, how will he talk to the country, all that will matter. It's not that they will straight away walk into his parlor and say, okay, we'll hug you. No, it'll take some time. It depends, not what he is saying, what he will do. That what he will do.
Yeah. I think his biggest challenge is on the economy front.
No, but we will address this and we'll come to the economic front. This question of
no doubt about it. No doubt about
getting trust.
Look, 1 out of 7 persons in this country is Muslim. Let's accept the fact that after 2002, a very substantial portion, I would say the overwhelming majority of the Muslims, felt alienated from the Bharatiya Janata Party and Mr. Narendra Modi in particular.
Right.
If today we see more Muslims voting for the BJP and they've forgotten what happened, or they're willing to forgive him for what happened in 2002, well, time alone will tell how inclusive he is in terms of reaching out to the Muslims and other minority communities who have traditionally not been favorably inclined towards the Bharatiya Janata Party. I mean, look at how many Muslim candidates the BJP put up.
Right.
I mean, that will itself tell you a story.
Right. That's true. But there's this interesting piece of statistics as far as the Muslim constituencies are concerned. Prakash, you also. There are about 91 constituencies which have been identified as Muslim constituencies on the basis of the report of
long years ago, Mr. Shahabuddin did that exercise.
No, this is also based on the minority concentrated, Muslim concentrated district as per the Ministry of Minority Affairs, about 90 constituencies, out of which Congress had won 31 seats in 2009 and BJP had won 15 seats. This time, it is reversed virtually. The BJP has won in 34 seats and Congress has won in 16 seats. So to that extent, yes, Mr. Subramanian.
Can I make a point here? I think that we have overemphasized, I agree with you, minorities have had problems.
Yes.
But we have, by stressing the secular in the sense of division of society, over the last 20 years, they have literally been used as vote banks. And these people have been the worst sufferers. I think they themselves are slowly understanding now that by differentiating them as a class,
that is a question which
therefore the actions have to come, because this sentiment is not so strong in Gujarat. We hope that, I know UP, the sentiment was not there 30 years back. It was deliberately fostered, and this kind of minority, etc., this kind of, and the caste came in through the mandal angle, etc. So to a large extent, in areas where societies intermingled, communities intermingled, we have created these disparities. Now we are trying to say that these are important issues. I have a feeling it's not all that difficult to
you wanted to respond.
One second. My thing is, both Mandal and Mandir were done by politicians.
Right.
So before